Today I'm going to be painting a cheeky little picture, seeing as it's Christmas, of a snowman and a little dog, and the snowman's looking a little bit annoyed because the dog's taking a little wee on him and he's starting to melt the snowman away. And the theme will be called Never Eat Yellow Snow. Anyway, it's going to be a really simple scene. I'm hoping that it won't take too long, so there'll be periods of time where I will probably be very quiet and might even speed the video up a bit where it's not really needed. So first thing, I'm just going to wet the background, and we need to have quite a dark background to emphasize our snowman, to show him off, because if we don't paint white, we leave white. Right, so that's the background painted, fine. In fact, I'm going to go all the way down with this. I'm going to cover all of the area here except for the snowman, because I just want a little bit of shadow here. Right, so I think I'll use a size 12 brush. Nope, size 10 it is, and a Skoda. And I'm going to just get a little bit of, I'm just mopping up bits of pigment that's been left in my tray, my palette, just to clean it up really. And now I'm budging in for a little bit of, that's a Payne's grey there, bit of Payne's grey on there, and I might have a little bit of burnt sienna just to warm that area up a little bit. So different areas, and that Payne's grey, oh that was strong there, wasn't it? Okay, and we're just going to cut around that chap there, just so we know where he is. There we go. Now, I'm just going to put a little bit of opera rose there, just to warm that snow up. You'll still be able to see that it's snow, because it's all about relativity. It's all about relativity. So now I'm just going to lift out with a little handkerchief these areas here, which I want to be left light, not white but light. He's going to be the lightest area. He's going to be pretty much white, but I want to draw our attention to him. So these are going to be light but not white. There we are. And this part here, I'm just going to add a little bit of texture in here, and this is going to be light not white. There we go. Let's wait till that dries now. Okay, so I've dried that area, but I want this sky to be a little bit darker, so I'm going to add some more pigment, some more Payne's grey over here. Some more Payne's grey over this part here. Now with this part, because we've got these light areas, we can be a little bit more defined with this. We can cut in to it. Add a few extra dark colours there. Right, I'm using this brush, my careful brush. Let's just add a little bit of colour to this. And now on this, I'm going to just chop just around this fella. Just over there. And around this little chap here. just always make sure the edges don't dry. Make sure those edges don't dry. And we'll bring that down there. And we can work with that. Now if you wanted to, you could put a bit of masking fluid on there to do that, but I'm not really a big fan of masking fluid, to be honest with you. Alright, and we're going to go over his carrot nose. And bring this over there. Now, bring this down, get a larger brush and get some more Payne's Grey around the area. There we go. And I'll lift a bit of that out and use it over here. Now this is where we have our distant trees. And this is going to dry much lighter anyway, so we're just probably around about right. Always paint a little bit darker than you really want. Right, just lift that off there, mop that up. I'll do the same with this here. I'm just going to use the thirsty brush just to mop that up. Oh, we've got a little splash of pigment there, we don't want that. Got a little splash over there as well, we don't want that too. And now, into that, just push down. If you ever make a little boo-boo like that, you push in, you don't rub, you just push it like that. Okay. And now that's dried, we're going to start working on these hats. So I'm using a little bit of this green that I got for a previous painting. It's just a bit of green gold, that is. I think it was. And maybe a mixture of olive green as well with there. So we'll just lay that part on here first. It's going to be quite light, but what we can do, we can put a little bit of this Viridian, phthalo green. If you've not got phthalo green light, use a bit of sap green, that's just as good. A nice bright green, that's what you want. Right, now let's concentrate some of these black trees. It's a mixture really of, I use this blue blue cerulean. I like that colour. I use a little bit in there. And I use a mixture of that blended in to a bit of burnt sienna. So the blue for the just get a little light wash of it, like that. Don't make too strong of a brush. Over there, just to emphasise the coldness at the top of these trees. Then a little bit of burnt sienna. And run a damp brush between them just to blend it in. Just to blend it in. There we go. Make that transition nice and smooth. Another bit of blue with that part. We've got a bit of a mixture here going on. There we go. Bit of blue there. Let's try a little bit of this upper rose there. Nice and large for the underneath. I don't like that. a bit of sienna down to that part there, and let's see that blend do your work for you. There we go. Let's see how it works. It'll all work out right in the end. Let's see. Well then, a little of the blue colour here, just for the top here. Just for the top. There we go. And a little bit of this at the bottom. I'll try a little bit more of that, I think. So I think that's gonna work nicely, that. A little bit of this upper rose. That's gonna work nicely. And at the very bottom, burnt sienna. Now while that's drying, this area is all going to be light or white. It's going to represent the snow. So let's start working on this old chap. Now we use a bit of this Payne's grey. Well, first of all we have to decide where the shadow is going to be. I think we'll put the shadow on this side because we want to emphasise his face. So just on the very edge, we'll put a shadow there. And now with a damp brush at the edge of that, we soften that edge, soften it. There we go. Soften that edge. And we can have a little shadow at the bottom there. Shadow there. Where it's bellowed out under the snow. And this part here, let's make it a little yellowy colour. Because we know what that dog's been doing, don't we? Look at that blooming way there. Now this part here, this is a fence. I want to show that the snow is bent down there to that fence. So let's just have a little, no we're not using that colour, use a little bit of blue and that upper rose just at the edge. Not too much blue on my brush there, but it doesn't matter. Just blow it out like that and bend it as we go further up. Blend it up so it gets lighter and lighter. I've got a bit of that there and a bit of that in there. So I'm making a bit of a purpley colour. Let's try that up this side. That's the colour I wanted, really, but no. We just blend that there. Careful not to go into the snowman. And now we can lift at the edge there to make sure it stayed white at the top. Now to match that, I'm going to put a little bit of this colour here. There we go. Yeah, blend that there. Right, let's let it all dry and come back in a minute. Right, so that's all dried now. We can touch that and not worry about it smudging. Now for this part, I'm going to use these are dead cheap from the shops, from any little hobby shop. This was a little Aquafine liner, and it's 11/0. And this one is a graduate liner, De La Rona 10.0. You can use either. And we're going to use some of this mixture here it seems a little bit loose at the moment, so let's just make sure I've cleaned that brush in there, and we're going to add, that's got a bit of gubbins in there, and just put a full line there of over to the tip of that. There you go. So put some trees in round the back there. That should be sufficient for that area. Now we're going to put our fence in with that same line of brush, just a squiggly wobbly line all the way over there. Don't have to be really straight, and don't worry about all this proportional stuff, getting the right length between fences. You know, the person who put the fence in might have been a little bit off one day, might have had a bit extra to drink, so you can't take the blame for that. So we'll put better fence in here, and that the brain will work it out that it's right. Okay, so now let's do a little bit more work on that hat. I'm using an olive green now. Be careful where I put my finger to. Just under there, just to shape this now. We're going to shape this hat on his head. Add a little bit of water to this to loosen this. I want a bit of watery substance there. I think that'll be fine for him there. Now, I'm going back to my old brush, the size 10. I'm just going to add a little bit, I'm going to add a little bit of this opera rose to this mixture here. And now a little bit of this blue to make a lovely, like a purple colour, purple shade, just to shape his face a little bit more now. And we can actually put a little bit further down there, just to add a bit of extra shadow there. Now we don't want harsh shadows, so we're going to use a damp brush and just ease it out there. Just ease that out. There, like that. The purple in the shadow looks absolutely lovely, I think. And we're going to go underneath the scarf that he's wearing. And around here, because these buttons of coal are going to be in shadow anyway, so we'll add a bit of shadow there, and also under his hat. And now this area is shadow where his eyes sockets are, but to make it more emphasised so we can actually see that he's looking down, we need to put the bits of coal of his eyes down the bottom. Now we can leave this part as a sharp edge and that as well, because it shows that it's strong, this on there, enough to create a sharp, there's a shape there, where there's no shape up this side, it's just the blend of the snow. Let's add a little bit of this to the bottom. I do like that colour. And this part here, we are going to blend that, and we're going to put a little bit on the inside of this. Blend that. So it's making it obvious that that dog has created a bit of a hole in that poor snowman's body. So, and let's put a bit more of this shadow over here. Let's get a bit of this blue from this part here. Bits of that blue there. A bit of blue for the dance. And over there. Now we can add some, just a few shadows and shapes, just to make it interesting, that's all. There we go. Now, let's let him dry for a minute. Now my original design of this, I put his arms up there, but I think it's going to interfere with those trees. So you're not going to notice it so much. So I'm going to fix those arms down a little bit. So I'm going to use a bit of this Payne's Grey here. I'm going to start them around here instead. So we've got some twigs, a big twig going along there. And we'll put some fingers on those twigs. That's a nice one, that, and over there as well. And also because I'm using a darker mixture, it's actually differentiating from the trees which are at the back, hopefully. Now let's put a little piece of coal in his eye there. He's looking down at that dog and thinking, you cheeky little blighter. And some of these stones there, in there. Now, what I'll do is I'll make a nice bit of orange, nice bit of orange, cadmium orange this is. Just be careful where you put your finger on your picture. Here we go. That's it. And lift the top of the orange bit off. So lift that bit off. Lift it out. There we go. Right, now we're going to put a lovely red scarf on. This was a cadmium red. There we are. And this is another one of those cheapo brushes as well, from the old hobby shop. With things like this, it's very handy. It's got a lovely little, it's got the right shape tip that I like for this kind of stuff. Alright, I'm just going to add a little bit of darkness to this now, just as we come down. Just as we come to the bottom of the scarf. And let this red blend into it. It just makes it a little bit more interesting to look at, that's all. No great shakes. If you don't want to do that, don't do it. There you go. And a little bit of darkness to this side. Because after all, this is a bit that's in shadow, isn't it? So we can do that. Put that bit more red in just to push that shadow away now. Okay. Right, now let's get a bit of work on this little rascal of a dog. I'm going to initially paint him brown, burnt sienna, or even Indian red. They're very close together, but it doesn't really matter, not for the undercoat anyway. So we'll just put a nice blob there. Where he is, there we go, well, cover that all in there. Right, and his little waggy tail at the back. Now I think I'll put this dark colour here, this darker colour towards the bottom of him. And he's cocked his leg up. And his back leg will just come above there a little bit. And now we can add a bit more pigment to that there. There we go. And you have to be very patient when you do these pictures, because a lot of it is all about the drying time. Now this part here is just drying a little bit and I'm happy with that, so I'm just going to put a little blob there of that's like a bit of a shadowy area of where his eyes will be. There's his little nose there. There we go, and a little bit darker there. Perhaps let's use a bit of strong pigment over there. There we go. Sometimes when you put a bit of strong pigment in with something that's already wet, it just blooms into it and it just makes it just blends lovely. Now here's the time when we need to be patient, go and get a cup of tea and let it dry. Welcome back. So it's all dried now. We can put our next layer in. Now I'm going to use a, still on the brown, but this is a Van Dyke brown there. Oh, it's burnt umber actually, quite dark. So under his chin there, where the shadow is shaping his face. Okay, down there, it just shapes his body and his face. I'm just indicating now. Let's just indicate an eye there, and a big sloppy old nose there. And we'll just, he even looks cheeky, doesn't he? He's like, I'm just doing this to annoy people, he's saying. Right, let's get some of this colour just to put the shadow of where the edge of the scarf would be. Just over there, and we'll just indicate just there. We're not going to go straight the way up, we're going to keep it like that. Now we mustn't forget our little robin on the top, a little robin redbreast, so we'll start off with a bit of orange. A little bit of orange on his tongue, and I'll add a little bit of red to that area. There you go, just drop it in and let it do its stuff, let it paint itself. Now I'm going to use a little bit of this yellow ochre for his head and body. Doesn't have to be too precise because this is a Christmas card, you know, and it's going to be much smaller printed out. When you print it out at home, or you might just want to give it like this as a gift. That's very nice. Right, now I'm going to use this very fine brush for a bit of detail, like his legs coming down there. There we go, and his little beak there. And a little bit of shadow up that side. That's all we need to do to that. And a few touching up pieces around the dog. And if you want to, you can use a bit of gouache or something like that. I call it gouache, some people call it gouache, but just a little light on his eyes and on his nose. And I think this little chap is done. So have fun painting your snowman picture, and please let me know what you thought of it in the comments. Thanks for watching. Bye bye.